Welcome into Inside Press Box, the baseball talk portion of our show. We do it every Monday, but I was away out of town and had some commitments yesterday, so we're doing it on Tuesday as the Orioles get ready to play the New York Yankees. Let me tell you before I introduce my co-hosts on the show or my co-panelists on the show that if you're craving that classic New York deli experience, look no further than the new Adams Deli in Baltimore's Harbor Point. Corned beef, piled high, hand-rolled bagels, and something different, a bar. Atman's has food and drink specials every day. You can watch the games even tonight at the bar at the new Atman's Deli in Harbor Point. Now open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Dine in, grab takeout, or hang out at the bar for the next O's game. Atman's Deli, an authentic taste of Baltimore tradition since 1915. Find us at Harbor Point or visit Atman's Deli, and they are a proud distribution point for Press Box. Also, we're brought to you by A.J. Michaels, expert and award-winning A.J. Michaels heating, air conditioning, and plumbing and home performance. They'll improve your home's energy efficiency, kill all viruses and germs in your system, and get you to be eligible for $6,000 in rebates. The AC season is upon us. New rebates and discounts are available. More at ajmichaels.com. AJ Michaels /Carrier, the experts. And we're also brought to you by the Costas Inn. All right. And I'll talk to you about that in about 15 minutes. Luke Jackson is with us, managing editor of PressBox and PressBoxOnline.com. And we've got a new edition of PressBox hitting the streets tomorrow with Governor Moore on the cover. All right. More sports with Governor Moore. And of course, the old left-hander who keeps us straight here, Ross Grimsley. How are you, Ross?
Everything's great, buddy. How's everybody doing there?
Good. Bird good?
Everybody's fine. She went to the eye doctor today and got her eyeballs measured for surgery. So we're pretty excited about that. So
all right. It's always something when you get our age, Ross.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
All the time.
Luke doesn't know anything about that.
Golden years, my butt.
Hey, I was away at a destination wedding up in Vermont, and there were a lot of Oriole fans there from Baltimore, and we were keeping pace, keep following the games on our phones. Overall, Luke, a pretty good series against the Phillies, especially when you lose game one.
Yeah, I was actually at the game on Saturday with my dad. We had a great time. And yeah, for the Orioles, aside from Kyle Bradish, the aggravation of his elbow, it was a pretty successful weekend. The Friday game was extremely tense, and it was interrupted, unfortunately, by rain, and would have loved to have seen how that game shakes out, if not for the rain. And then Saturday, I thought Grayson Rodriguez was spectacular. He gave up 2 early runs and then really settled in and overpowered a really good Phillies lineup. I know they were down a couple of key pieces, but I thought he was outstanding. Santander put the offense on his back. He had 2 home runs to really get the Orioles the win and take advantage of Grayson's start. And then on Saturday, they teed off on Wheeler. That was the worst start.
Sunday.
Sunday, excuse me. Yeah. That's the worst start that Wheeler's had in quite some time.
Yep.
And they just took advantage of fastballs in the middle of the plate. And it's been a while since I've seen Wheeler have that sort of command within the zone, but the Orioles jumped all over him.
Yeah, 4 home runs. I think it's the most he's ever given up. He's never given up 4 home runs in a game before, I don't think. And it'll be probably a long time before he does it again. Ross, Friday night, I'm at this is sort of the rehearsal dinner, and it's about 9:30, quarter to 10, and a bunch of people have left, and I'm following the game on my phone, and I see that they got the bases are loaded, and me and my friend Josh Scher are watching the progress of the game, not watching the game, and Santander's up, and all of a sudden, I see the final score is 3-2 Phillies, and I don't see Santander did anything. So I look, and it says Cedric Mullins out at the plate on a fielder's choice. And I say to Josh, and I are like mystified, and I go, "Oh, the ball got away from the catcher, and he thought he could score, and he got tagged out." So I text a couple people. I said, "What a bummer we lost that game with the bases loaded." And like, I'm back in my room now, about 25 minutes later, watching a little of the Red Sox game, and all of a sudden I see the scores that they're flashing on Nesson, and it says 3-3, top of the 10th. So I go to my MLB package, which I can get Oriole games, when I'm on the road, and they're in a rain delay, but the
Right.
score is clearly 3-3, and
Yeah.
that's what happened. That's a wild one, isn't it?
It was, I tell you what, it was as soon as it happened, and I got the MLB package, so I get the games down
Yeah,
here, which is great. But watching them and seeing that, and Mullen slide was fantastic, and he
yep.
knew from the get go that he was
Safe.
in there,
Yeah,
and that was, I mean, you know what, he's not having the year that you'd hope he'd have, but he's scoring runs, he's starting to pick up a little bit,
yep.
and his defense is fantastic, but as long as he is, the team keeps swinging the bats the way they are. And you talk about Wheeler, he hadn't faced a team like the Orioles
Right.
before. Not a lot
Yeah.
of guys have, because I mean, these guys are, like I said, they're starting to swing the bat. Santander, if it's in his spot,
He's
he's
a
going to
he's a he's a
put a
he's
whooping
an
on him.
alpha dog too.
Oh, really? I mean,
Yeah,
the guys, you give them a chance and let them. The cream usually rises to the top,
yep.
and you're seeing some guys do some things that really make them exciting to watch. And this has been a lot of fun.
Luke, this Bradish injury it's terrible news.
Right.
A week before I wrote the sigh of relief
Right.
article, that Orioles can breathe a sigh of relief, and then 1 week later, 6 days later, he's out. What are you hearing about this? And is the likelihood that this is it for him for the season?
I'm not hearing anything more than you're hearing.
Yeah,
And so I'm sure that they're getting a lot of opinions, doing a lot of tests on him. I can just tell you, just based on watching the game on Friday, he had absolutely electric stuff the first 3 innings of the game. He was throwing 99-mile-an-hour sinkers with some devastating breaking balls. And then in, I'd say, innings 4 and 5, the velo really dipped. The sinker started to be more like 93, 92. And Jim Palmer noted a couple times during the game that he was shaking his arm in a way that Jim didn't like. And Jim pointed it out right away.
yeah.
So none of that is good. When you
No,
lose like 5 or 6 miles on your fastball and you're shaking your arm, that's not great. So could it be a situation like he had in January where he just needs to rest basically, and then he could come back at some point in the second half? I guess theoretically,
yeah,
but it does seem at this point that at somewhere along the line he's going to have to get this fixed. That's what it seems like,
yeah.
and it's just a matter of when you want to do it. Do you want to try to gut through it for now, or do you want to just get this taken care of? So, yeah, that was pretty dispiriting to see that.
Yeah, Ross, what is your experience and understanding of these injuries? Does he eventually have to get it repaired now, or could rest and
I would
rehab?
think so. I would think more than likely. I know I never had a problem until the very last year I played, and I strained my elbow by trying to throw the ball harder than I was capable of throwing. And anytime you do that, but I was able to get through the year, pitching out of the bullpen, what little I did. And but you get an elbow problem. It's hard to have any life on the ball, and you got to really locate the pitch and change speeds. And it's really your command will be affected because you start thinking more about your arm than you do about the job at hand, and that becomes a problem for you. So I would have to think that, and a lot of times, well, you can't hurt it any worse. Well, if it's hurt, you might as well, the
You're not
sooner
going
you
to
get it.
perform well.
Well,
Yeah,
no, I mean, there's a good chance you won't.
yeah,
I mean, there's time, I mean, you can ice the hell out of it until it's frozen, and that kills the pain for 20 minutes.
right.
But
It,
and I went through that 82 the whole time doing that. But it affects everything, and if the sooner you get it fixed, if that's what you need to do, the better.
Ross, we joke about the immaculate grid, that game you play where
Right.
you have to think of old players that did, and a lot of times one of the categories is a team like the Milwaukee Brewers, San Diego Padres, like yesterday, and you go across, and the topic coming down is 200 pitcher with 200 strikeouts in a season. that to me doesn't sound like a hell of a lot. When you had Seaver, Palmer, Bob Gibson. But yesterday, I'm trying to think of a Brewer that's done it. And I'm going, Pete Vukovich was a pretty hard thrower, and I look him up and he struck out like 140 guys. And
Right.
I'm looking and he won like 16-6 with
Yeah.
140 strikeouts. Now I'm looking at Moose Haas. The most he ever struck out, he won like 14 or 15 games, is like 145.
Right.
Now
Right.
I go, and I remember Randy Jones he was like you. He didn't even throw as hard as
He
you,
threw slower than I did.
threw way slower than you. And I look him up. I said, well, I know he won the Cy Young Award. Maybe one year he snuck through. And I look at the two best years of his career. He won like 22 and 23 games back to back. And he
Right.
had like 105 strikeouts.
Yeah.
So my question is, if you appeared on the mound tomorrow night at 30 years of age with your stuff, are you going to get totally clobbered by today's hitting analytics and what they know? In other words, why did pitchers succeed back then? Because the game is upside down now.
Exactly.
It's all velocity.
Exactly. I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, I've seen guys. I mean, they swing at pitches now, so many out of the zone, and you run the ball up in the zone. I don't care how hard you throw. It seems like you run it up in the zone. They're swinging at it. They're going to miss it or pop it up. So in changing speeds, you don't see a lot of guys change speeds, and when they do, they have some success. So I think there's a place for pitchers that are able to change speeds and not be overpowering. But you don't see it.
And I will say this.
Luke and I talk about it quite a bit. The Orioles hit the pitchers that throw hard. The ones that give them a problem are Lance Lynn, Sonny Gray, Kyle Gibson.
Well, I'll tell you who gave them a lot of trouble was the best pitcher in the National League this year, Ranger Suarez, on Friday. And he is not a max effort type of guy.
Right.
He is a left-hander who's going to be 90 to 93. He's going to throw the ball where he wants to throw it. Very reminiscent of Cliff Lee in his Phillies days. And he's going to have an awesome changeup, like a plus changeup.
That's 90 to 93 now. That would have been in the 80s.
Right.
When you were
years ago when we played. So
but I mean, Ranger just never misses in the middle of the plate. And what did Zach Wheeler do on Sunday? He missed in the middle of the plate. And so, yeah,
he's got good stuff. But I mean, that pitching is, I mean, I think you're going to start seeing more of that because guys are getting hurt more because of they're trying to throw. And that's what the guys come back from these Tommy John, and they are trying to throw the way they threw prior to the injury. And a lot of times, I mean, that's just too much. And you talk to a lot of the orthopedic guys. I just heard one the other day say that's one of the main reasons for all these injuries, because guys are trying to throw the breaking ball. A lot of times we would throw first pitch breaking balls and not good ones. Just throw it over because they're going to take it most of the time. And then when you get guys on base or you go to put them away, you throw the better pitches. So you didn't have to throw great pitches all the time. And that's what they try to do now. And that's causing, obviously, an injury problem, especially with fastballs overthrowing and the hard breaking ball. Every pitch is you try to throw a bastard pitch. And you have to do that.
Luke, you know about it because you edited my piece. At Cade Povich, Ranger Suarez comparison, Cade Povich sounds a little like Ranger Suarez in terms of stuff.
Right.
Not the exact same type of pitcher, but no. I compared what Cade Povich has a chance to be on this staff this year to what Mike Boddicker was in 1983, the last time we won the World Championship.
Yeah, I mean, Ross can speak to Mike a lot better than I can, but I can tell you about Cade. We were talking before we went on the air 3-4 weeks ago. We were hearing Cade's name in trade packages. Now they need him to pitch every fifth day because of the water they've taken on with the rotation. But yeah, we saw some of the issues that Cade has had throughout his pro career in his first start where he just walked too many guys and paid for it. But when he in that second start against Atlanta, he was fantastic. When he lands that curveball, he's really tough to beat.
Yeah.
And it's just a really pretty, aesthetically pleasing breaking ball that when he can land it where he wants to, opposing hitters just have a really tough time with it. And he's only 90 to 93, but he's got great life and ride on that fastball. So he can get swings and misses up in the zone on velocity that's not eye popping. So, and he's got a smooth delivery, athletic. And if you watch him from the TV angle from center field, it looks a lot like Max Fried,
Yeah.
athletically, delivery
Very
wise.
similar. Yeah.
And I don't know if he modeled himself after that, but it certainly looks like he did.
Hey, Ross,
And
I was going to suggest, could you call Boddicker this week and see if he can do next week?
Absolutely.
And Luke, either you're welcome to come on with us, but
I'm on
sometimes
vacation
when
next week, so perfect.
perfect. Okay. I'd love to have Boddicker on. Okay.
Oh,
Um,
that'd be great. Yeah.
you and I'll talk in the next day. Don't call him yet. I want to check what time next Monday's good. Okay. Um, so here's the matchups tonight at Yankee Stadium, the first of three, with the Orioles coming in just a game and a half behind the Yankees. Nestor Cortez against Andrew Suarez. Tomorrow night, that's at 7:05 tonight. Tomorrow night at 7:05, Garrett Cole. Remember him, Luke? I can't remember him that well.
So young right-hander getting a lot of work in the minor leagues of late, I think.
Yeah, yeah. So this is his major league debut. Anyway, Garrett Cole comes back. He's active on their roster as of today, I think.
You're right.
Garrett Cole will go against Cade Povich in what is a really interesting matchup, of a seasoned veteran, Garrett Cole, and somebody who's just really learning his stuff. And then on Thursday, getaway day in Yankee Stadium, I thought this was a 12:30 or 1 o'clock game. It's a 4:05 game, and the Orioles will face Luis Gil going against Cole Irvin. And I just heard on XM radio a little while ago, I'd forgotten. They got Luis Gil about 5 years ago from
Yeah.
the Twins for Jake Cave.
It's one of Brian Cashman's great trades. Because I'll tell you what, the two most electric arms that the Orioles have faced, for me, Luis Gil and Garrett Crochet.
Yeah, those have been the two best that I've seen this year so far. And that guy who lost to Cade Povich isn't far behind. He had very good stuff.
Oh yeah, and they were actually on
Wellenbach.
they were on the same Nebraska team, as a matter of fact.
That was an
Schwellenbach,
amazing.
yeah, and it just so happened that their starts lined up that way. Schwellenbach actually started at Nebraska as a shortstop, I believe.
That's correct. That's correct. Ross, Mike Boddicker, I know you weren't on the team in '83, were you?
No, I was 82. Boddicker came up, I think.
He had a cup of coffee in 80, 81, and 82.
82,
Total
he
of
came
38
up.
innings.
They were gonna release me and bring him because he wasn't ready
Right.
to come in spring training. They didn't think, but they were going to release me in August and bring him up. And so I told him, I said, send me down and recall me because there's only 10 days, 13 days. And Earl did that, which was really nice. So I became good friends with Bod. And
so let me ask you a question about the coincidence or the confluence of events there. 80, 81, and 82. He's not good enough to really get a real heavy look at any one time. 3 seasons, 38 innings in the majors. Earl Weaver retires, and they brought him up pretty quick in '83. I know they needed him because either Palmer was hurt or somebody, and he was next man up. But did Weaver not like his stuff?
No, he had one of the things that the Orioles did back in the day. They had guys at AA that should be in AAA. They had guys in AAA that should be in the big leagues, but you couldn't crack the rotation. Right. So you're not going to bring a guy up to have him sit on the bench and be a long man and pitch every 2 weeks or 10 days. So that was the thing. They didn't want to do that until they got the opportunity or the opening, and they did that. But Bod's what a great guy. Really an outstanding pitcher. And I mean, pitcher. He wasn't a thrower. He was a pitcher.
He knew how to pitch.
Yes, he
knew
did.
how to pitch. No question about
Yes,
it.
he did.
Luke, and by the way, a lot of people are talking about that article. I've heard people telling me it's on Camden Chat, so hopefully it's getting a lot of eyeballs on it. It's on Pressbox Online right now, along next to my power rank, separate article. Luke, what else do you have on your mind today? What's on your baseball mind today?
What is on my baseball mind? That's a great question.
Oh,
That is a great question. I was
That's
not
short- that's-
prepared. I was not prepared for this, Stan.
That's a
That's
stumper,
what
isn't it?
means that I ran out of information, ran out of questions. Were you impressed? Here's a question. Trey Turner is
Yeah.
back with the Phillies now.
Yeah.
I think he was activated last night. They absolutely clobbered San Diego.
Right.
Were you impressed with the Phillies?
Well, like we were saying
aside from
before,
Wheeler's outing.
well, they need to get JT Realmuto healthy because they'll split catcher between two younger guys for the time being, but they definitely need to get JT back. June Schwarber is definitely a thing. He had 2 home runs yesterday against San Diego, and I mean they're going to win about 100 games this year, I would imagine, or even more than 100 games. And it starts with their rotation, right? I know Zach Wheeler got beat up, but he's one of the best pitchers in the National League over the past 5 years, if not the best. And Nola got beat up in Boston, and so it was kind of a not great run through the rotation. They're trying to figure out Taijuan Walker and get his split all the way back. The thing about Saturday, I think Taijuan Walker only threw 7 splits, and that's his go-to pitch throughout his career. But he gave up a home run to Santander on it. It was just basically a do-nothing splitter, just hung in the middle of the plate. And so he had to put that in his back pocket, and then he went to the curveball, which I thought was really good. I was sitting first base side, and I thought the curveball had great depth on it. So, and they're trying to get his velocity to tick back up. Apparently, he's down a tick or two in fastball velocity. So, but he's like their 5th starter. He's getting paid like a third starter, but they just need Taijuan to keep them in games. And then Suarez has been maybe the National League Cy Young to this point, and then Chris Sanchez had another really good outing yesterday. So it really starts with their rotation, in terms of why they've been so good this year, and then they've got a lot of power in their lineup. And the interesting thing will be, so they got, I think his name is Mundo Sosa, who filled in for Turner while he was gone. He was really good at shortstop, hit a home run on Saturday. Can they find a way to keep him in the lineup, maybe as a left fielder, Brandon Marsh in center? They optioned out Johan Rojas, who is a really, really good defensive center fielder, made some great plays over the weekend. He just can't hit. And so they optioned him out. Maybe you see some Marsh in center field, Sosa in left, Turner at short. I don't know. It's a really good team. Orioles got the better of them this past weekend. But yeah, I think they could very well make a World Series run.
They got some power arms in the bullpen too.
Yeah.
So I was sitting next to a Phillies fan on Saturday to my left, and at some point I turned to him and said, "Do you guys have anyone who throws 95?" It's like he didn't get it. I was like, "Do you have anyone who just throws 95?" It's all like 98, 99, 100.
Yeah. They got some fireballers in there.
Hey, Ross, we'll continue with you. I want to get your assessment on the Dodgers losing Yamamoto on Sunday or Saturday, and Mookie Betts on Sunday. How do they weather that storm? Because I think the Orioles, Yankees, and Phillies are on a little island by themselves as the 3 best teams in baseball. I'd have the Dodgers on there, but their pitching is still a little shaky. But let me tell folks about the Costas-Inn. Costas-Inn, you're never suspicious about the Costas-Inn or worried about them. They've got a menu that is second to none in the Baltimore area. Yeah, they've got the seafood specials. They've got all kinds of chicken and beef dishes Monday through Friday on their specials. Very affordable specials every weeknight of the week. And then, of course, they're known for their crabs and crab cakes, steamed crabs and crab cakes. Delicious, delicious crab soup. And remember, if you are planning with some friends or family that we'd like to go to Costas and get some crabs. The days of just driving there on any night of the week and just say, hey, we want 3 dozen crabs, and thinking they're going to have what you want. It's very, very difficult. It's like a tough ticket for a team. It's a tough deal to get crabs, but they got plenty of them. But you need to call 410-477-1975 to check out the availability, the price point, and make sure they have the size that you want. Okay. Costas, you won't regret it. Tell them that the guys that are raising their hands right now like the Costas. All right. That's all three of us. All right. Or as I said before, it was 8 hands, 6 hands, right?
We'll get hands and feet and
All
whatever.
right. Ross, I gave you a minute or two to think about that with the Los Angeles Dodgers. That Mookie Betts injury is a real devastating, isn't it?
That's going to obviously hurt them, but again, the pitching, they got Glass now that's throwing pretty well.
Bueller's back now.
Bueller's back. He's 1-4. He's getting his his sea legs back again. Yamamoto being out, I don't know who's going to take his spot. I don't know if Yarbrough will step into that position, but I'm not really sure. But obviously, they find a way to win. The Dodgers, and I tell people if I was running a big league team, I would have my scouts follow the Dodger scouts because they find players. They just have a knack for doing that, and they find some good players, and then obviously they're willing to spend a couple of bucks because they have it. But yeah, and the pitching, the pitching is the key to everything. I mean, the Orioles with their pitching.
Do you see enough of the Dodgers to tell me the difference? I swear I don't really know. Grove sometimes looks good. Stone sometimes looks good, but I can't really tell the difference between them in a way.
Paxton's 7-1, but he's got
he's
got about 5
earned
run average, I think. Or no, he doesn't. He's got he's under 4.
Yeah.
But their starters have been doing a pretty good job. Bullpen, they got some guys that are doing well, but overall, again, their pitching keeps up. But losing Mookie, that could hurt a little bit.
What do you think? It's going to be 4 to 6 weeks, Luke, when Mookie Betts?
Might be closer to 6 to 8.
6 to 8.
He don't have to have surgery, does it? Or do they change?
No, non-surgical, but that's a big blow.
Yes, big time.
Yeah. Do you guys agree that the 3 teams I mentioned, Phillies, Yankees, and Orioles, are on a little bit of
Cleveland's awfully good too.
I
think maybe
Seattle is playing some super baseball.
Yeah, I would include those 2 as well. And then also LA is going to be fine. And by the time the playoffs roll around,
they'll have Kershaw back, maybe.
Yeah.
Perhaps. And but I think they'll be fine. But I think those might be.
Kershaw comes back next year, or do you think he's going to hang it up?
At some point.
He's only 34 years old, I think.
Right, but that arm feels like it's
a lot of bullets,
right?
A lot of bullets in that arm he's thrown.
Right.
Anyway, Orioles play 3 in New York, and then we go from the top of the baseball world where we were talking about those teams. We play the Houston Astros. The romance is kind of gone, Luke, about the Astros right now. They
released Jose Abreu.
I know they are having a bad season.
$20 million.
Yeah, they're going to eat $30 million on the Abreu contract, and I'll take the
L. Only has one person to blame, himself.
Right,
really
he jumped in when he fired or insulted. What's his name? The guy that had been with Tampa Bay, the
Click.
GM,
James Click.
When he got rid of him, he spends nearly $70-90 million on Abreu while he had no GM.
I think it was like 3 years and 50, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, okay.
55. And for an aging, declining first baseman, I thought that Abreu still had something left, and that he, for at least the first 2 years of that contract, would be a real solid fit in that Houston lineup, because they still had Tucker, Bregman, Altuve, Alvarez, and it just didn't work out. And he became like a big problem for them because his defense at first base also declined as well.
Who,
And so, go
who
ahead.
do you think picks him? Somebody's going to pick him up.
You
Well,
think, yeah.
he's going to clear waivers. He's going to be released, and I'm
Yeah,
sure
and
someone will sign him to a minor league deal and see if there's anything
no, they
left
won't
there.
sign him to a minor league deal. They'll give him a major league deal because he's going to only make the minimum. They'll put him on the major league roster.
I would not, me personally, if I were running a team, even if I were desperate at first base, I would not clog a roster spot with Jose Abreu at this point. I just
Okay.
think he's done. I be like, there's got to be someone younger in your system that you can give a chance
I'll
to.
tell you who it reminds me of. It reminds me of when the Angels released Albert Pujols,
Right.
and then he went to the Dodgers and he clunked along. Then he went back to St. Louis, and he had a terrific last season.
Maybe you can get a dead cat bounce out of
Yeah,
him. And you know,
dead
for
cat
me,
bounce.
for
Is that
me,
anything
like
like Tallywag?
for me, I don't even see him as like the short side of a platoon at this point.
Okay.
Like his baseball savant page is just a complete catastrophe. And so I don't know. Like if I were running a team and he wanted to try to find something with my AAA affiliate, like sure, like we can give that a shot. But like I don't know. I would just
All
I
right.
understand that he was an MVP 4 years ago, but in baseball years that could be a long time.
Yeah, really, yeah.
All right. What do you think the next 6 games for the O's? Ross, what do you think?
Well, they're playing they play the Yanks, Houston, Cleveland. They play 28 games next. Well, I don't know if 28 in a row. Is there an off day in there somewhere? I'm
The
not
off
really
day was
sure.
this past Monday.
But
Today,
yeah,
it was yesterday
they
Right.
only
I think their next off day, the Orioles' next off day, I think is
in
July
July.
1st.
July. Yeah,
1st.
right.
Yeah.
So they got 28 in a row. The big thing is they only play 3 teams that are over 500. Now Texas, I can't believe they're where they're at, but they play Cleveland, they play Seattle, and they play the Yankees again. So it should be interesting. This was going to be, a tough June with the schedule that they had, but I mean they're pitching great. They
Mhm.
got a 231 earned run average, and that's went down each month. April is 375, May it's been getting better, 286, now it's 231. They're doing a lot of really good things, and the hitting is starting to pick up, which is a bonus.
But are
But
you happy if you come back 4-2 from these 6 games?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
that would be, I would look, I'm looking at 5-1 the way they play. The way they
Oh,
play.
Ross.
But
Ross.
Look at
on
Ross.
the road, hey,
I
they
will
play-
I will say this that Grayson Rodriguez will start one of the games in Houston, and that's not too far away from his home where he grew
Yeah.
up in Texas. So I'm expecting a big start from Grayson, I think on Friday in Houston.
Well, the
And
O's
I'm
play,
sure a lot of friends and
Goes
family will be
against
there for him.
Verlander.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's a good one.
Yep, the O's play well on the road too. One of the top best percentage-wise records on the road. So that says a lot right there. So I think they're going to have a good. I just see so many positives with this team. As before, I was Mr. Negative, but I see a lot of positives and just guys picking up each other. The guys stepping up in the pitching and the bullpen. So I see a lot of
They
positives.
remind me a lot of the '83 team. They're beginning
Yeah.
to. It's like a different hero every night. Um, Ross, the home advantage that they have now, is that palpable to you when they play at home? The
I, I
Orioles.
don't I don't think it really matters where they play. I mean, they went on the road, they went at home. Oh, they're 25-14 at home and
Yep.
22-10 on the road. So I mean, they do so many things well, and obviously, listening to some of the players talk about the excitement with the crowd. Yeah, the 3 sellouts. That's huge, and they get the playoff. Excitement. So some of the guys were saying, so that's really important. They're getting a taste of what it's going to be like toward the end of the year and into the playoffs, and that's really good.
Ross, the last thing I have for you, and that's what I meant to ask you, was what are the chances that this team will be better? And I'm talking about not the pitching so much as the lineup, that Gunnar, Rutschman still have improvement in their game. Cowser, Hayes and Mullins coming back a little bit. What do you think? Do they have a chance to be even better 2 months
Well,
down the
I'll
road?
tell you one of the things I saw with Rushman that I thought was really impressive. He was he was taking pitches, first pitch, he would take 2-0 pitch, 1-0 pitch, and he took it. He took them, I think, 2 or 3 games, and then somebody gives him a cookie first pitch fastball that he launched, and that was, I mean, I thought
So you think he's playing to the scouting report?
he's starting to realize what's going on,
Yeah.
and I think that will go to some of the other guys. You're going, you know what? I've taken a lot of pitches, first pitch, strikes, waiting, and somebody's going to give me a cookie because they're thinking to sneak a first pitch cookie over the plate, and I'm going to jump on it. The thing is, you do with guys on base. And
Yeah.
that really gets them. So now they got to be a little more careful with you. But I was really impressed with he did that and he jumped on it. That shows me a guy that has an idea what's going on, and he can bait people up. Usually your veterans are the ones that do that, but this is a guy that's starting to learn what's going on.
Luke, before we go, one of the things Buck Showalter always used to teach us, members of the media, was don't judge players in March and don't judge in September. The Texas Rangers, that kid Evan, I forget his last name.
Evan Carter.
Evan Carter. He didn't look like somebody that we were judging in September because he did it in the playoffs and World Series. He looked like Stan Musial.
Right.
And this year, he's back down to earth. The Texas Rangers subsequently are struggling mightily, I think, to stay in the playoff hunt.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of the Rangers, and we will see quite a bit of them in a 4-game series next week. So I will have a much better opinion of what they have going on at that point. I just haven't had a chance to sit down and watch a lot of them this year.
All right. Fair enough. Guys, it's always a pleasure. Luke, you're away. Have a great time. We'll see you in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. You're down there 2 weeks, or you're
no, but I will see you in 2 weeks.
in 2 weeks.
But I'm down there for a week, yeah.
All right. And again, we'll let everybody know that the governor of the state of Maryland, Wes Moore, is on the cover of this press box that comes out tomorrow, Wednesday, the 19th of June. We called it More Sports. Governor Moore talking about his sporting past himself and relationships with the Orioles, Ravens, and horse racing in the state of Maryland. That's going to do it for today. Thanks to Luke Jackson, Ross Grimsley, and of course our friends at the New Atman's Deli in Baltimore's Harbor Point, AJ Michaels, and the Costas Inn. For these guys, Luke Jackson, Ross Grimsley, I'm Stan the Fan. Go O's, and they start at 7:05 tonight in case you're watching this live. Bye.